When you're casting a fly rod, it's important not to go too far back on your back cast or too far forward when you're false casting. You want to have kind of a mental discipline that has your fly rod going back no further than 10 o'clock and no further forward than 2 o'clock on a basic cast. Keep in mind, the shorter the cast, it's going to be a tighter arc. The longer the cast is going to go almost to 9 3 on your casting stroke. But as a mental discipline, if you keep that 10 2 cadence, in most cases you're going to find that's right in the sweet spot of most casts. But it's very important to know that depending on the distance of the cast, your arc will decrease and increase. And I'll show you what that looks like actually casting the fly rod here in just a moment. So watch my casting stroke on a short cast. I'm not going very far back, and it's a little quicker, right? Because I'm not carrying a lot of line. See what I'm doing there? Now, I'm gonna put out a little more line here. Notice how my casting stroke and the cadence is changing slightly based on how much line I'm carrying. You see that? Casting stroke is lengthening. My cadence is slowing down just a little bit to kind of compensate to be able to hold that line. Notice the loop. I've got a nice, clean loop happening as the line is going back and forth. The next thing you want to consider is cadence. You don't want to come back too quickly on your cast. You want the line to completely extend out behind you and in front of you before you move it. So think of a pendulum to where you have this nice, easy casting stroke. Really important to have that casting stroke down. Most fly casters, when they're first starting out, will come forward too soon, and sometimes you'll hear that snap of the line because you've come forward too quickly and not allowed the line to completely extend out behind you. The next thing you want to consider is a hard stop, both front and back. So when you go back on your cast, you want to have a hard stop that transfers all that energy that the rod is building up into the fly line and allows it to extend back behind you. So hard stop, hard stop, hard stop, hard stop. Notice the cadence, notice the rod arc. I'm holding about 25 feet of line in the air. This is a really good rod cadence. Notice where my hand is on the fly rod. Getting a nice loop in the line. Everything sounds good. Everything feels good. Right now, I can present that fly to the fish with confidence because everything is working in unison together. Looks smooth, doesn't it? So now when you're ready to let go, it's a hard stop and then drop your fly tip or drop the tip of your pole down towards the water, or in this case, the grass, right? So I'm ready to present. That's what it looks like. So let's look at it from this angle. It's also important to keep a straight line path with the tip of your rod. Some people have a tendency to open up their wrist on the back cast, right? To where you start getting this kind of weird loop, right? It's a kind of an inefficient loop when you open up your wrist on the back cast. So it's okay to watch back just to make sure that your rod tip is a nice straight path. Notice my cadence, my casting stroke. I've got a nice straight line path. I'm not opening up my wrist. As you can see, I'm moving my wrist slightly, but not a ton. I'm moving my elbow slightly, but not a ton. And I'm using a lot of shoulder action and a little bit of body action too. As you can see, I'm kind of swaying with the cast, right? That is your entire body kind of working in unison with the fly rod so that the cast just becomes really easy. You shouldn't have to put a lot of effort into your cast. If you start putting too much strength in your cast, you'll create a tailing loop where the line wants to come back and catch itself. It should be nice and easy. And if you got the cadence down right, that line is just gonna glide off your fly rod. I mean, right now, I'm probably holding 40 feet of line in the air, really easy, The cadence is good. The rod stroke is good. I've got a straight line path. Everything feels great. And once you practice this enough, it'll just become second nature and really easy for you to apply when you're out there fly fishing.